truth, you're stuck with it. Okay, what option do I have? You see?
In one of the conversations with a woman, she's talking to you about being a Muslim, and then you tell the story about how he did something to his wife because she got fat and unattractive and left her.
Sauda bin Zama.
Yeah.
Boy, you've really been watching me. You still like me, invite me?
Oh, yeah. I've been watching the last 2 days. I don't know how many hours of content of yours I've watched.
Yeah, according to, again, you have to go with the Islamic narrative, right? Some people say, well, that's just later tradition. Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, 128. If you want to open up, I'll give you the context. 4, 128. You're going to see the context here, yeah. Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, 128. Yeah, if he opens it up. I don't know. I would recommend a browser, but I don't know which one. The one I have for the website.
This is in the Quran?
Yep. Watch here. 120. Chapter 4, 128. Not 1 to 28. Sorry. 128. This is the context of the passage. I'm going to explain it here. Now, if you're not a Sunni, you can reject this. If you're a Quran-only Muslim, you can reject this because this is based on the hadith. Because if you want to know, okay, what was the context of these verses? They have what's called asbab al-nuzul, the occasion or reason of revelation. So you got to go into the commentaries, you got to go into books, and it's, this verse was revealed because of this. But that's not in the Quran. So if someone wants to reject it, they'll say, well, it doesn't say so. He'd be right. But then I'd turn back and say, well, what's the context and how do you know? When was this composed? If he tells me, 6th century, I go, well, the Quran doesn't tell you 6th century. How did you get that? Oh, from the same sources I just quoted that you rejected. Interesting. So you go to them when need be, but when it disproves your point, no, it's now suspect. But these are the same sources that told you that this is revealed in Medina and at this year, because the Quran doesn't tell you. But nonetheless, if we read it, here's the thing. And if a woman fears from her husband contempt or desertion, there is no sin upon them if they make terms of settlement between them, and settlement is best. Now, what is that about? Well, if I go to the tradition, Muhammad had at one time 11 wives, even more than his God allowed for others. If you go to chapter 4, verse 3, the Quran, you don't need to turn there. But 4, verse 3, it says you can have 2 or 3 or 4 wives if you can be fair. If not, have one. But then it says, and as many as your right hands possess. See, that part is not emphasized. So the Quran allows unlimited concubinage. That's why you'll hear stories when you have people who go to Saudi Arabia to be maids. They don't know they're signing up for sex. Jeez. That's part of the deal. Because in Islam, if you are a maid or a servant, the man has conjugal rights to sleep with you. You're signing up for that. That's in chapter 4, verse 3 of the Quran. It's there. I didn't write it. Don't get angry at me and put a hit on me or my friends. I didn't write it.
Quran 4:3?
Chapter 4, verse 3. If you want to show it to him, then we can come back here. You'll see.
A maid?
Yeah, well, it's called your right hand possesses, meaning that which is under your control, whether a servant or a maid or anything here. And if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphans, then marry those that please you of other women, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you'll not be just, then marry one or those your right hands possess. Right hand possession means your concubines, you're free to have as many as you want. But if you want to marry, you can only have up to 4. But it doesn't tell you, okay, the 4 plus the slave girls or the maids. That's authentic Islam, Sunni and Shia tradition. There's no, because it's in the Quran. Right? So that part seems to have, been glossed over. I guess many people didn't get the memo. So when you go ahead, brother.
I'm just curious how so many, I know you're not political, but how so many of these Ilhan Omar and all these women of Muslim faith, like they're my body, my choice and everything, but then every single thing in the Quran is anti them. 72, exactly. Like those 72 virgins, Sam, for every guy that goes and has all these virgins, like what type of life is it as a Muslim woman that you die and your eternity is up there having sex with all these guys? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it does one of 2 things. It makes them leave Islam, or remember, if you've been convinced that Allah's God and this is the only religion, well, hey, what choice do I have? You see, understand?
Yeah.
Okay, if I have been duped and beyond any reasonable doubt convinced this is true, I'm stuck. What do you want me to do, Vinny? Yeah. This is how Allah does what he wants. I'm just glad I'll be there. I won't be burning in the fire. See, this is why do I say you have to be careful demonizing all Muslims? Because many of them are victims of the system. Mm-hmm. Right? and I don't know. I was going to say something. But anyway, they're victims of the system. But coming to the explanation, I'm going to explain 4:128. Now, remember, how many wives can the Muslim have? Up to
2,
4.
3, or 4.
Yeah, so you can have 2, 3, 4.
Okay. If you could handle it and be...
Yeah. Muhammad had 11.
11.
When he died, he widowed 9. Now, what makes it more tragic and disgusting, this is why I cannot believe, if someone knows Jesus, he'd leave Jesus for Muhammad. So I say, if you want to really get people to never consider Muhammad, say, look what Muhammad did compared to Jesus. Jesus' beauty will show you how disgusting these teachings are. Right? Focusing on, look at Christ, look at Muhammad. In fact, comparing Muhammad to Paul, the apostle, a glorious, holy servant of Christ. And all he was a servant. If you see his lifestyle and his purity, he makes Muhammad look filthy by comparison. Just Paul, who's not our God in the flesh. But nonetheless, not only in 4:128, if you go back, did Muhammad treat one of his wives unjustly. Every single wife of Muhammad, after he died, could never remarry again. That's in the Quran. You cannot have his wives after him. So he left some of them widows. Aisha was 18, they say, and others in their 20s widows, and some of them lived to their 50s without ever being able to marry, have children. This is what he did to them. And you're telling me he's a mercy unto mankind? Seriously? And what does it tell you about a man who had 9 wives and couldn't get any of them pregnant? Right? They say that his first wife, Khadija bin Khuwaylid, that was his first wife. She was 15 years his senior. She was actually his boss. He used to work for her. If we go with the, again, remember, we're going by the Islamic narrative. He used to work for her, and she was so impressed by his conduct, she proposed marriage. And he married her. According to Islamic tradition, she was a wealthy merchant woman because she had married 2 wealthy men, and they died, left their fortune. And he used to be a caravan trader for her. So she was his boss. According to the Sunni tradition, he married her when he was 25, she was 40. And so she supposedly mothered all his children. But every son he had died as a toddler. None of his sons lived even to adulthood. Now, he only stayed with her until she died. Now, I'm going to explain to you why it is significant. After that, he went crazy. He started just collecting wives. All his children, not only the sons, died as toddlers, but even his daughters, who got married later, died. The only child that outlived him was his daughter Fatima, who then died 6 months later. She was married to Ali ibn Abu Talib, who's his first cousin. And hence you get the Shia and Sunni divide. Because Muhammad's lineage is traced to his daughter Fatima, because she gave him 2 grandsons, Hassan and Hussein. This is where the Shia trace Ahlul Bayt. So this has significance with the Shia and the Sunni. They don't get along. Fatima, right? Ali, who's supposedly the rightful successor of Muhammad, but he was robbed. She gave him his 2 grandsons because he had no boys. He had no successors. Hassan Hussein. Ahlul Bayt, the family line of Muhammad, supposedly comes from that line. But with that said, supposedly he got Khadija pregnant when she was 40. Okay, we'll give him that. The other wives, he couldn't get any of them pregnant. But then he had a sex slave, Maria al-Qubtiyah, Mary the Copt, sent to him. He supposedly got her pregnant. She gave birth to his son, Ibrahim, and he died when he was 2. Okay, so maybe something happened. He got lucky with her. There's some questions whether that was really his son, but we don't get into that. My whole point is, of all these women, he only got 1 woman supposedly pregnant after Khadija, son who died. None of the other women who can get pregnant, not even Aisha, who married at 9, left them all childless and widows who could never remarry again. And he's a mercy unto woman? Where's the mercy in leaving these women without a husband or children for the rest of their days? That's merciful? Women have needs, right? They want companionship. They want intimacy. They want children. And he left them with none of that. And you're telling me he's a mercy unto mankind. Now, to show you how cruel he is, that's where you're going to come 4:128. Now you're going to see the cruelty of Muhammad. Now you're going to see how this man is considered a mercy. I have no idea. Man, if he's merciful, then you and me, Vinny,
we're in trouble.
My goodness. Now, it says, if a woman fears from her husband contempt or desertion, there is no sin upon them if they make terms of settlement between them. Now, the context is, Sauda bin Zama. She was an older wife of Muhammad. Now, when he was married to Khadija, he never got married. When she died, it says that then he multiplied wives. The second wife was Aisha. My memory fails me if it was Salama, the first one, but nonetheless, he married her among the 11 wives. But he was no longer attracted to her. This is in the Muslim tradition. I didn't write this. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, they're writing this, so I don't want people to condemn me to hell. They can look at any commentary. And she feared that mom was going to divorce her. There's even a hadith in Bukhari that says she would go out to the call of nature, but because she was a huge fat lady, you wouldn't miss her. You know it's at her. Right? Hey, what are you doing? We can see you, right? So it describes a huge fat woman, fat lady. So she's a large woman and an older woman. She feared Muhammad is going to divorce her. So she made a deal with him. Keep me as your wife, but you don't have to visit me. Because part of the deal was he would have to visit these wives on successive days. But the Quran says it's up to him. He could choose not to. I'm not going to see you. I'm going to see you. The Quran says it's up to his discretion. That's chapter 33 of the Quran, verses 50 to 51.
Which wife you want to see and which wife you don't want to see.
Yeah, up to you.
So there's not a set schedule calendar you have to follow.
So that means you be thankful if he chooses to see you. Be grateful. So she comes to him and says, look, don't divorce me. Keep me as your wife. Now remember, each wife has to have her own house. And she cannot go out unless there's a need and with his permission. So can you manage you're under house arrest pretty much? You can only go if it's a need or he gives you permission. So he has 11 wives, 11 homes. They have to stay home until he says you can come out. Or if it's something really like, hey, I got to run to the toilet. Okay. This woman said, don't divorce me. Keep me as your wife. And the day assigned to me, you can give it to Aisha. So Aisha had 2 days.
The 9-year-old.
Yep. And he left this woman in a house all by herself the rest of her days. And the Quran says, good agreement. If you agree to it, no problem. So his God said, if that's the deal, go with. Now, why did she want to be his wife? See, this is again. Because the Quran says that all of Muhammad's wives will be his wives in paradise. So she was hoping that if he didn't divorce her, she'd end up with him in paradise. See the mindset? Please don't divorce me. Let me die as your wife. So at least in paradise, I'll be your wife. And he left this woman alone in a house without, and having no children with her. All because he was not attracted to her. And she knew it. And she said, don't divorce me. Now, if Muhammad was merciful, you know what a merciful God and a prophet would say? What are you, crazy? I love you just as much as the first day I laid my eyes on. In fact, I love you more. What do you mean? No, you're my wife, and I'm going to honor you. Oh, okay, good deal. Let's go for it. And it's sanctioned in the Quran. See what it says? If a woman fears from her husband contempt or desertion, there is no sin upon them if they make terms of settlement between them, and settlement is best. So if you agree to this, all right, good deal, go with it. But who wins in this deal? The men. The men are winning. The women are getting abused. I don't know how in the world this guy is a mercy unto mankind. And when people tell me respect my prophet, how can I respect such a man who has not only destroyed the people around him,